Hello everyone. These are my thoughts on game week 6. I thought it was a standard Crystal Palace home game trying to win 1-0. Unfortunately, Sacco missed a sitter and Zaha also seems to be struggling with an injury. We should wait on further updates on that. And moving on to the Burnley game, they lost against Watford at home and also against Manchester United, but I still think they will be very hard to beat at home this season, irrespective of the opponents. And for Bournemouth, they are quite a mercurial team this season. They've been on and off. They score tons of goals at home, and they also don't know what a clean sheet is. But away, I don't think they're as good as they are at home. They play Crystal Palace home next week, and they have an interesting set of fixtures coming up. So it could be a wise move to invest on their attack. Fulham versus Watford. 1-1 wasn't a fair result, in my opinion. It could have ended like 4-4. Mitrovic seems to be very good value for the money, and Gray also seems to be back among the goals. He scored back to back now, and he could be an excellent option moving on the next few games. And Will Hughes also had a very good game and one you should be watching out for. Pereira, meanwhile, disappointed. Vieto also had a very good game for Fulham. And if you're wildcarding in the next 2 to 3 game weeks, I would punt on Alex Lacazette. He seems to be back among the goals and getting his form back. And he could be a very interesting option for the next few games for Arsenal. And if it goes wrong, you can always wildcard. And another interesting premium option I would consider getting in before wildcarding is Sir Harry Kane. Uh, his shot was straight at Ryan this week, but nevertheless he scored the penalty and got 3 maximum bonus points. He looks to be not to be in his best, but he could be an excellent option in the next 3 games where he could pick his form up. He plays Huddersfield away and Cardiff at home, and then West Ham away in the next 3 game weeks. And I would target captaining him for Cardiff game at home. Cardiff seems to be the whipping boys of the Premier League this season. An interesting strategy would be captaining a premium player against them. And moving on to Mohamed Salah, he also had like 4 good chances to score. He could have scored 4 goals, but unfortunately he only got his one tap in. What is alarming is the amount of service he receives, and he only converts 1 or 2. So, but he doesn't warrant his price tag of 13 million. But you could sell him and he starts putting in all those chances created. So it's a frustrating situation, but I think it's time to move on with Salah and look elsewhere, especially for the next 2 games. But keep in mind that Liverpool are a big game team. They score goals, especially on the big games. So it's a very tricky situation. And moving on to Hazard, it's he's very frustrating to own, but he's also frustrating when you don't own him. He had his chances; he could have scored goals, but the player who interested me is Morata. He seemed to be on the right place on the right time, and if not for his confidence, he could have even scored. So I would keep an eye on him for the next few games to see if he gets his scoring boots back on, and if he does, then he could be an interesting option. And West Ham, in all honesty, should have won the game. Yarmolenko, what was he even doing? You're supposed to score these chances, and West Ham should have won this game. And moving on to the Manchester United game, Jimenez had a decent game, and Fred and Pogba also had a very good game. And I saw Bennett taking on a few shots in set pieces. He could be an interesting option. In the next few games, he could score a goal or 2 from the corners. Defenders try to mark Bowley, and he tries to take them on. So that could be a very interesting choice. And Richarlison was denied by Czech. He could have been among the goals this week, but he seems to be picking up from where he left. He could be a very interesting choice from next week. He could be a must-have from next week. So these are my thoughts. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.